So what is WhyWellington? WhyWellington is a real-time, people-powered social media magazine documenting a day in the life of Wellington, day after day, from sunrise to sunset and beyond. And at its heart, it's actually a simple, relatable story. The story is, hey, I'm new in town, help me out. And there's a lot of people in Wellington that are from somewhere else, so this story resonated with a lot of people. It's based around a single hashtag, it's based around a single question. Why Wellington? And there's infinite answers to that question, and none of them are wrong. This was the first tweet, this is where it's all started, and I knew I needed to have a striking image that would cut through the social media static and get some traction. And when I saw a polar bear on Oriental Parade, I knew I had that first tweet. From there, 1 year later, we're at the stage where there's 1,700 followers on Instagram, there's 2,200 followers on Twitter, there's no website, there's no Facebook page, there's no blog. So where are these people coming from and how are they finding the WhyWellington accounts? Essentially that's happening via the WhyWellington hashtag. And that hashtag acts like a little breadcrumb trail. It's sprinkled through people's friends' social media feeds, attached to tweets, attached to photos, and the curious amongst people will click that hashtag, which inevitably leads them back to the WhyWellington accounts. Which then leads to the question, how do you get people using a hashtag? This slide is from a presentation I did at a travel technology conference, and it's a flowchart anchored in behavioural psychology. I'm suggesting an action. People are taking that action using the WhyWellington hashtag. They're getting rewarded for taking that action by retweets and regrams, making them more likely to repeat that action. There's a trend in social media towards ephemerality. On Snapchat, when you send a photo to someone, it disappears after they've seen it. So I started hashtagging the actual city in temporary ways that would disappear. In the sand, at the beach, on recyclable cardboard put out in the CBD, and eventually people started tweeting and Instagramming these things, which is when I asked them, why Wellington? These are the top 100 words from the first 1,000 answers. So why Wellington? Because of the people, because of the coffee, the sense of place, the beer, the culture, the creativity, the beauty. These are the words that people used when directly asked the question, but people then went on to continue using the hashtag in relation to photos that they wanted to post. And there's four main things that make up 80% of all of the content that gets hashtagged WhyWellington these days. Nature being one of them, not just that we have it and it exists, but specifically our proximity to it. A lot of people will tweet something along the lines of, I just went for a run in the bush in my lunch break at work. We love the waterfront. It helps that it's quite photogenic, but for a lot of people this is not a destination that they need to go to. This is a part of a lot of people's everyday life. This is their daily commutes. We love a sunrise, we love a sunset, and we love a rainbow, and that's not unique to Wellington, that's universal. But what is unique to Wellington is the frequency with which this happens. We get so many awesome sunsets. And we also love our coffee. It's not just a tourism marketing message that we've heard so many times that we believe it. I asked the WhyWellington community, tell me your top 3 favourite coffee spots. There was hundreds of votes. Over 100 different favourite cafes were named, not just in the CBD, in the burbs and even in the greater Wellington region. And that leads us on to what colour is Wellington? And this is data that comes from nearly 3,000 different Instagram photos hashtagged WhyWellington. The blues are the sky and the sea, the greens are nature, the browns are coffee and food. That little yellow blob there is the Wellington Phoenix. And aside from all of this data that I looked at in preparation for this talk, for me I already knew what it was about Wellington that got me engaged so quickly. It's beauty, danger and whimsy, and it's actually a really rare combination. And if you look back through popular culture and what's being deemed cool over time, you'll always find those elements in place there. So let's run through them. This is the view out our lounge room window. This is not an uncommon occurrence. This is part of our everyday life. And that data at the top left there is about the use of filters on Instagram on photos, hashtag WhyWellington. And far and away, the most common filter used is no filter at all, because Wellington doesn't need it. It is beautiful. Danger. We're constantly reminded that it's lurking just around the corner. Whether it is the tsunami safety zone line painted on the road at the south coast, whether it's the earthquake safety notice when you enter a building, that not knowing if and or when something terrible could happen gives this city a real edge. Whimsy. And I've got a definition for whimsy here for you. It is playfully quaint or fanciful behaviour for no purpose other than to delight or amuse. And the bucket fountain actually is designed to splash people. But where beauty, danger and whimsy all comes together for me is in this image of a rope swing in Mount Victoria, where you're situated with a panorama of the city from the hills to the harbour, and you swing out on that rope, and then you find yourself in this terrifying moment where you're 3 or 4 stories from the ground because someone walked up that hill with a rope and a piece of wood to build a swing for everybody's enjoyment. I put a love lock on the bridge at the waterfront, as people do. It's WhyWellington's first birthday this week. And that would usually be a symbol of commitment. But for me, I've kind of achieved everything that I wanted to with this project. So now for me, I'm thinking, if or how this project might continue. The lock also for me is a symbol of maybe the closing of a chapter. And with that in mind, and WhyWellington and social media being one of those in-the-moment things, I thought it'd be cool, live on stage, to tweet that exact photo with the caption, "See you in the spring." Tweet. And from this very second, WhyWellington and I are taking a break. Thank you.